Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This video clip of President Boko of Botswana being greeted by his people at the market has been taking the rounds in various social groups in Zimbabwe. Some people have praised what is happening in Botswana. And it must be said, envious that it is not happening in Zimbabwe. Let's just play a short clip of the video.
That's my boy.
There is humility in the man. And I think people are right to love him. But I think the main reason why the people of Botswana respect their president is because Botswana is doing well. It's a stable country that has made steady progress over the years. 45 years ago, in 1980, when Zimbabwe gained its independence, Botswana was one of Africa's poor countries. But it had one thing in its favor. It was a stable democracy. And over the years, Botswana has made steady economic progress. Today, Botswana is considered to be an upper middle income nation. Whose GDP per capita is 3 times that of Zimbabwe. Botswana's GDP per capita is $6,000. Zimbabwe, 2,000. In 1980, the situation was different. Zimbabwe was considered an upper middle income nation. Sorry, Botswana's GDP is 8,000, according to the chart I'm showing you on the screen there. And over the last 45 years, Zimbabwe's economy has been in steady decline. We are now considered a poor country. Forget all this talk about Mnangagwa promising that Zimbabwe will be an upper middle income nation by 2030, in about 5 years' time. That is just nonsense. If you're going to have a good harvest, you do not have to wait for the end of the season to know whether or not you're going to have a good harvest. You'll be able to see from the time when you've plowed the land, planted the seed, germinating, they germinated well and they look very healthy, you know this is promising. Halfway through the season, your crop is still healthy, you know you're on course. Mnangagwa has been in power now since 2017. The economy has not improved. Corruption has gone into overdrive. The little economic growth that is happening in Zimbabwe is being done at great expense. When you hear a documentary like the Al Jazeera in 2023, that 80% of Zimbabwe's $2 billion gold mining is being looted, that's when you realize we are in serious trouble. The 80% that is looted is not going through the normal channels. Only the few, connected few, are benefiting from it. Mnangagwa was named in that documentary as the godfather of the corruption. He has used some of the wealth that is amassed from all this looting to corrupt Zimbabwe's various institutions, from the police, ZEC, judiciary, finance, you name it. And that is what is destroying Zimbabwe. One of the things that some of the people who have been commenting on President Boko's walkabout in the market are MDC-CCC supporters. Here is a video clip of the kind of worship that Chamisa has received.
Zvenimi zita raChamisa rikutotaura kudarika iye uyu akapawo chairmanship vaMnangagwa akapawo chairmanship asi kumbotaurwa but Chamisa kupi Chamisa rikutaurwa zita raChamisa rikutaurwa kunge zita raMwari pese munhu paakangogumbukwa munhu anoti nhai Mwari wangu munhu akangodai nhai Mwari wangu ndozvikuitwa zita raChamisa. RaChamisa rakasimba rine power rine moto. Wakambomuhoiwa wakapawo chairmanship nezuro wako makambomuwa achitaurwa harimbotaurwa kuti chairmanship but zita raChamisa rotaurwa kozi mwana uya akazodzwa uya kuona rumwe munhu uya pagrupu uchitaura zvinhu zvokupamama anenge ana hopo chingona anongoti musoro unenge dako benzi remunhu kuita mhino inenge pombi chii ichocho neuyu mandazi anenge nhanga akazora nhangirikire inonzi chiambi mukore uno yakaguma kuzogwa kare ambi hamhendisati tambozvagwa isi munhu ozorava ambi wachena kwose kwachena kumusoro nokuzasi.
We need not have to listen to the end of that. But that is where the difference is. Nelson Chamisa and his MDC-CCC friends have failed to implement even one token reform in 25 years, including the 5 years in the GNU. And yet, he is not just loved, he is worshipped. Many of his supporters believe Chamisa is a demigod. This is where you see the difference between the people in Botswana and the people in Zimbabwe. The people in Botswana love their president, their leaders, for doing the right thing. They've got an open mind to accept when somebody is doing something wrong, when somebody is doing something right. But when you've got a closed mentality, this personality cult mentality, where you worship somebody regardless of their performance, that is a problem. Right now, one of the big issues that have been going on social media is the Chamisa Chete Brigade refusing to accept that Chamisa lied to them. He conned them to participate in the 2023 elections, telling them that Triple C was going to win big because he has plugged all the vote-rigging loopholes. Hashtag God is in it. Even invoked the name of God. Many people, including the two gentlemen that are being castigated in that video clip, pointed to some obvious mistakes that Chamisa was making. How can you say that you've plugged all the vote-rigging loopholes when you have not even secured a verified voters roll? What matters here is that at the end of the day, the facts on the ground prevail. Zanu PF blatantly rigged the 2023 elections. Both SADC and the AU election observers, among all the other election observers of any repute, condemned the election as flawed and illegitimate. Chamisa himself, the day after voting, was accusing Mnangagwa of rigging the elections. The very thing that he said he had plugged all the vote-rigging loopholes and would not happen. So we come back to the original question. Did Chamisa lie? Unfortunately, some of our die-hard Chamisa Chete Brigade members are refusing to accept that he lied. You can't have it both ways. If Chamisa did not lie, then Triple C should have won. If Mnangagwa blatantly rigged the elections, then Chamisa must have lied, because he said he had plugged all the vote-rigging loopholes. How anyone can keep on arguing in a circle like that beggars belief. But that is the difference between Zimbabweans and the people in Botswana. I believe the people in Botswana are shrewd enough to know that denying the truth does not change anything. Zimbabweans are content to hide their heads in the sand and continue to worship somebody who is sold out on reforms, lied to con them to participate in flawed elections, knowing fully well that Zanu PF was rigging, and that participating will only give Zanu PF legitimacy. And yet they still continue worshiping him. People like that are the very antithesis of democracy. Because democracy demands that the people must be educated, knowledgeable, objective, if they are going to carry out their single most important duty in a democracy, i.e., to hold the leaders to account. If you put your leaders on a pedestal where you worship them, you cannot hold them to account. It is no surprise that the same leader who sold out on implementing reforms, who called them to participate in flawed elections, all those things is water off a duck speck, forgotten. We still continue to worship him. Mnangagwa is counting on that political naivety that Chamisa will con his followers to participate in flawed 2028 elections, even though it is clear that no meaningful reforms have been implemented since 2023. And Zanu PF will be rigging those elections. But he'll be telling them, as he told them in 2023, that he's going to win those elections and they must participate in their millions. Here is Chamisa speaking before the 2023 elections. But this speech, he only has to change the date and he will deliver the same speech for the 2028 elections.
Makorokoto Zimbabwe, nokuti hakuna munhu anomira kana denga raronga plan. Denga raronga plan, denga harifoiri. Plan ya Mwari haifoiri. Ini ndatanga kugadzira cabinet. There is no way we are not going to form a new cabinet. There is no way we are not going to have a celebration. There is no way we are not going to have an inauguration. Let's start preparing for our inauguration. Let's start preparing for our celebration.
I repeat, Chamisa lied. Triple C did not win 2023 elections. Chamisa did not plug Zanu PF's spot-tricking loopholes. Why millions of Zimbabweans out there are refusing to accept that Chamisa is a liar, beggars belief.
Ende patakasangana na Trump akatibvunza navakomana mari yamuri kuda kuti nyika ifambe imari.
Serious questions were raised about your behaviour in Washington, D.C. You did see some senior people on Capitol Hill, some Congress people, but you also claimed that you'd seen Donald Trump. You claimed you had a conversation with him in which you said he asked you how much you needed to move the country forward. You told him $15 billion, and he said to you that he would provide the money if you won the election. That was not true, was it?
Sangana na Trump akatibvunza navakomana
It was not true that you'd seen Donald Trump and that Donald Trump indicated to you that he would provide, if you won the election,
But
$15 billion.
All those statements were said by other people, not what I said.
Trump akatibvunza navakomana mari yamuri kuda kuti nyika ifambe imari.
Well, no, because there is a video which shows you at a rally in January back home in Zimbabwe saying that Donald Trump had pretty much promised you $15 billion. To be clear, because some people in Zimbabwe are still confused, you're now telling me you did not meet Donald Trump.
We did not.
I would like to repeat my message to the people of Zimbabwe. If you seriously want to see meaningful change in Zimbabwe, you have to accept the truth, the reality on the ground. If you continue worshipping a corrupt, incompetent, and a liar, then you cannot expect meaningful change. MDC CCC are playing a very important role here. We do not expect Zanu PF to reform itself out of office. And this is the reason why the people have sacrificed so much to elect an opposition whose number one task would be to implement the democratic reforms to end the Zanu PF dictatorship. Whether you want to accept it or not, the truth of the matter is MDC CCC leaders have failed to implement even one token reform in the last 25 years. And we need to move on. Blindly following a failed leader is not going to help us get out of this mess. Chamisa is a liar. MDC CCC have become Zanu PF Team B in all but name, playing for Team A to win and for Team A to have legitimacy. That is the truth.